Yep, you did it, Donald. You crashed the markets once again as they looked that they were going a little bit up today. Donald Trump, while crashing the markets, gave an unhinged and deranged press conference in the White House. He had a bunch of people dressed up like coal workers in the White House as he signed some executive order about woke energy and getting rid of woke energy. Here, Donald Trump attacks Germany. Again, this is while the markets are crashing. I mean, they went down from it was up 1,500 today to then go into significant negative territory. He's attacking Germany, saying Germany went green, very green, so green. Play this clip.
The countries went to beautiful, clean coal, and they've stayed there for many years, like China. China's opening 2 plants every week. Germany went green, very green. They went so green they almost went out of business. Germany was finished. They went to wind. The wind wasn't blowing too much. And they went to all sorts of other things. You know, the Green New Scam hit Germany too. And guess what? Now they're back to coal. They're opening up coal plants all over Germany. We're the ones that aren't doing it.
Donald Trump then at this event continued to talk about there's bad woke energy and then hype coal. Play this clip.
Germany was finished. They went to wind. The wind wasn't blowing too much. And they went to all sorts of other things. You know, the Green New Scam hit Germany too. And guess what? Now they're back to coal. They're opening up coal plants all over Germany. We're the ones that aren't doing it. I call it beautiful, clean coal. I told my people never use the word coal unless you put beautiful, clean before it. Right, Doc? So we call it beautiful, clean coal.
Donald Trump then claimed that coal workers love being coal workers and they'd much rather be coal workers than being wealthy and live in penthouses and be rich. He goes, they want to be coal workers. Here, play this clip.
In the first campaign where Hillary Clinton was about 4 states too early, and she was talking about how bad coal was and how they were going to teach coal miners how to make widgets and gadgets and technology, which they didn't want to do. They want to mine. One thing I learned about the coal miners, that's what they want to do. You could give them a penthouse on Fifth Avenue and a different kind of a job, and they'd be unhappy. They want to mine coal. That's what they love to do. And she was going to put them in a high-tech industry where you make little cell phones and things. I don't know. Do you think he'd be good at that? I don't know. I would be. You don't want to be. And she was brutal about 3 weeks before, but then she had a problem. She went to West Virginia looking for votes, and that was a bad situation. You remember that? And there was a coal miner.
Yep. So while that was going on Fox, they cut to the close of the markets. Another terrible day in the markets when, again, there looked to be some slight hope, or as Senator Warner said, a good day in hospice care is basically how you describe the market at one point. Then it became yet another bad day as the Trump regime signaled that it was going to put 104% tariffs on China. Yep, 104% tariffs. And China said it was not going to back down. Here's Larry Kudlow coping hard during Trump's press conference. Play this clip.
Thank you very much. Another very wild day in the market. Stay tuned. Kudlow's next.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. Well, now, 70 countries seem to want a trade deal, and Mr. Trump's got a new man in charge of getting it done. Oh, and by the way, it is time for tax cuts as fast as possible.
Then Donald Trump talks about all of these law firms, these big, large law firms that he's shaking down who are committing hundreds of millions of dollars to do legal work for the Trump regime because he's threatening to pull their security clearances. And he's like, it's funny because I tell them to do things and they did nothing wrong. And yet I got them to bend the knee to me. Here, play this clip.
We have excellent lawyers. Excellent. Have you noticed that lots of law firms have been signing up with Trump? $100 million, another $100 million for damages that they've done. But they give you $100 million and then they announce that, but we have done nothing wrong. And I agree, they've done nothing wrong. But what the hell? They give me a lot of money considering they've done nothing wrong. And we'll use some of those people, some of those great firms. They are great firms too. They just had a bad moment. But we're going to use some of those firms to work with you on your leasing and your other things, and they'll do a great job. I think they're going to do a fantastic job. And for those of you that want to know the tariffs, you've been hearing about tariffs, we're taking in almost $2 billion a day in tariffs. $2 billion a day. And we're doing very well.
And Donald Trump goes on this bizarre tangent where he continues to attack California. And he says California has blackouts and brownouts all the time, which I live in California. It's 100% false. And he just goes on to talk about how he saved Southern California from the wildfires by turning on a valve. And Trump believes that Canada borders California, and there's a valve, and Canada then gave its water to the United States, and that put out the fires. Here, play this clip.
You will not be subject to the incredible blackout situation that's taking place in California, where they have blackouts all the time. It's an amazing thing with California. They have blackouts and brownouts at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And all they want to do is keep going the way they're going. And they're doing a very poor job. As you probably heard, I released billions of gallons of water going in from upstate California, from the most northern parts of California. Probably comes in from Canada to a certain extent. Thank you very much, Canada. We appreciate it.
I mean, everything that Donald Trump is saying is 100% false and also incredibly deranged. Let me tell you what Donald Trump did do, though. Once the wildfires in Southern California from a few months back were already fully contained, Donald Trump ordered the Army Corps of Engineers to release reservoir water, $2.2 billion, into the Central Valley in California, nowhere close to where the fires were. And remember, the fires had already been contained. So Trump dumps $2.2 billion gallons of water out. And then that's water that was needed for the summer, during a dry summer, screwing over the farmers so he can pretend he turned on some valve and got Canadian water, even though Canada doesn't border California. And this is who Donald Trump is. Here he is again talking about the giant valve. Let's play this clip.
As they do it, right? And we actually had to do some pretty strong things to get them to open it up. They had, think of this, they had all that water pouring out right into the Pacific. They had a big valve, like a giant valve as big as this room. And they turned the valve, takes 1 day to turn it, and they face it toward the Pacific Ocean. And the water, all that was coming down, all millions and millions of gallons coming down, they put it into the Pacific Ocean, which for the Pacific Ocean is like a drop of water. But for California, it would have been unbelievable. So we did it. I'm very proud of the fact that we did it. We did that
again. He continues to talk about the big, beautiful valve and the water and how he got it done. And he figured this all out on his own because he's so smart. Here, play this clip.
You had sprinkler systems in houses, a lot of these luxury houses where they had beautiful sprinkler systems. There was no water. They had no water to put out the fires. Water is very good for putting out fires. You know, they just didn't learn it. But we now have millions of gallons, billions actually, they say, of gallons of water pouring into California from the Pacific Northwest, I guess they would say, mostly Pacific Northwest, but other parts of the northern sections of California and beyond. And it's a beautiful thing to see. I saw a picture of it this morning. The water's just flowing down there. I said, why didn't they do this? I told them to do it. My first term, I said, do it. And I don't know. I think the second term is just more powerful.
And by the way, that's worse. This is worse than how Kim Jong-un sounds. You know, Kim Jong-un's always like, in South Korea, it's horrible, terrible place to live. Blackouts, brownouts, you can't do that. I'm the savior. I alone am fixing it. I mean, when you listen of all of the things that Trump's doing today, the fact that he previously emptied out 2.2 billion gallons of water into farm area that's nowhere near where the fires are. Like, that would be a major story. I know that gets buried in all of the Trump chaos. Like, it also gets buried that Elon Musk got another $5.6 billion contract for SpaceX, and that the Trump regime says it wants to spend $1 trillion on the military, that there's more federal spending right now than under former President Biden by significant amount. I know a lot gets lost in translation because of the Trump chaos, but we're not going to get distracted. We can focus on all of this at the same time here at the MeidasTouch Network. Here, Donald Trump talks about we need clean coal. Play this clip.
On coal. It's really beyond even coal. We have clean air, we have clean water, and now we have clean coal. And at the same time, we're going to do other things and with other forms of technology and also energy, like our country has never really seen before and never been known to do before because of all sorts of restrictions having to do with the Green New Scam.
Then Donald Trump says that coal is so indestructible that you can't drop bombs on it, whatever that means. Play this clip.
Pound for pound, coal is the single most reliable, durable, secure, and powerful form of energy. It's cheap, incredibly efficient, high density, and it's almost indestructible. You could drop a bomb on it, and it's going to be there for you to use the next day, which you can't say with any other form of energy. You're virtually indestructible. Most importantly, we have more of it here in America than anywhere else on earth. We have more coal than any other country. You go to Australia, Dave.
Trump continues to brag about getting pro bono legal services from law firms and that they're going to help him go after woke energy. So he's going to use the law firms, private law firms, who he threatened to pull their security clearances to attack woke energy, whatever the hell that even means. So for all of the associates working at those firms and any lawyers who are working at those firms that bent a knee, you played yourself. Here, play this clip.
You notice that lots of law firms have been signing up with Trump? $100 million, another $100 million for damages that they've done. But they give you $100 million and then they announce that, but we have done nothing wrong. And I agree, they've done nothing wrong. But what the hell? They give me a lot of money considering they've done nothing wrong. And we'll use some of those people, some of those great firms. They are great firms too. They just had a bad moment. But we're going to use some of those firms to work with you on your leasing and your other things. And they'll do a great job. I think they're going to do a fantastic job. And for those of you that want to know the tariffs, you've been hearing about tariffs, we're taking in almost $2 billion a day in tariffs. $2 billion a day. And we're doing very well. And we're doing very well in making, I call them tailored deals, not off the rack. These are tailored, highly tailored deals. Right now, Japan is flying here to make a deal. South Korea is flying here to make a deal, and others are flying here. I mean, my only problem is I'm not sure I have enough. We're going to have to use those great law firms, I think, to help us with that. But we're going to probably do that, actually. We're going to use them, and we're getting them for the right price because we need a lot of talent. We have a lot of countries coming in. They want to make deals.
Then Donald Trump continues to go talk about the valve that he claims he turned on, which he didn't. He goes, I tell them to do it, they do it. They turned on the valve. Here, play this clip.
They do it. When I say do it, they do it, right? And we actually had to do some pretty strong things to get them to open it up. They think of this, they had all that water pouring out right into the Pacific. They had a big valve, like a giant valve as big as this room. And they turned the valve, takes 1 day to turn it. And they face it toward the Pacific Ocean, and the water, all that was coming down, all millions and millions of gallons coming down, they put it into the Pacific Ocean, which for the Pacific Ocean is like a drop of water. But for California, it would have been unbelievable. So we did it. I'm very proud of the fact that we did it. We did that against a lot of heat and a lot of environmental nonsense. From now on,
Then Donald Trump goes on this weird tangent about we should all be gone because they said we were going to be extinct from Earth. Here, play this clip.
The Green New Scam, which, by the way, was devised by somebody that never even studied. You know that? They never even studied anything to do with the environment. was a young congresswoman. She came up with the idea. And based on that, I guess we only have, well, actually, we should have all been gone because they gave us only a few years left on Earth, right? Right, Greg? We were going to be gone. We're all going to be gone. The environment now. What they have to worry about is the nuclear heat. They don't have to worry about environmental heat. They have to worry about nuclear heat. And if we're smart, we're working on that right now with others having to do with Iran and some other countries. But that's the heat you're going to have to worry about. You don't have to worry about the air is getting warmer. The ocean will rise 1/4 of an inch within the next 500 to 600 years, giving you a little bit more waterfront property. They say.
I just want to share this with you from Governor Newsom. This is Governor Newsom's explanation about what Donald Trump did with emptying out these reservoirs. I just want you to hear the truth and the facts about what actually happened in California. I had Governor Newsom on about a week ago. Here's what he had to say. Play this clip. Governor, I think about some of the people who voted for Donald Trump in our state of California, the farmers in Kern County, in Fresno. They're getting hurt right now, maybe even the most or as bad as anybody. Also, we learned about how Donald Trump emptied those reservoirs because he wanted to say he opened up a valve and released the water into Southern California. This reservoir was nowhere near where the fires were. At the time the reservoir was drained, there was already full containment or mostly full containment of the fire. This was nowhere near where the fires were. But now the releasing of this water is going to harm farmers during a dry summer. This can be devastating, releasing $2.2 billion just so he can do a freaking social media post. What's your reaction to that? What's the status of that right now?
Well, I mean, it's I guess it's par for the course, isn't it? It's reckless, just as these tariffs. It's arbitrary. Yeah, it's fill in the blank, but it's really consequential. And boy, well done. You framed it perfectly. He basically took water that was set aside for this summer's farming from one part of the Central Valley and then dumped into other part of Central Valley without giving them heads up on water they didn't need and know even how to store. And they had to turn off the pump because it was starting to impact the levees. None of it went to Southern California. But what Donald Trump did, he flooded the zone with dis and misinformation, celebrating that somehow he solved for the problems in Southern California, somehow equating and connecting it to fire hoses and issues related to fire, to fire suppression. Facts again get in the way. Narrative matters, illusion rules so often. And the challenge we have, and you know this, and again, I'm not going to say anything nice again about you because I'll appear to be patronizing. But they dominate right now in terms of flooding the zone and weaponizing this mis and disinformation. And they are able to do it with an asymmetry in terms of their communication capacity that we have to address, and you are addressing, and we have to own up to, and we've got to rebuild that architecture or build that architecture so that we can compete in this space, because what you just said is not commonly known by the overwhelming majority of people that voted for Donald Trump that actually believe that that water was sent to Southern California, even though demonstrably we know that was not the case.
Finally, it's also worth noting as well that a Trump-appointed judge, Judge McFadden, granted the Associated Press injunction against the White House ban on access to the Oval Office and East Room, as Kyle Cheney reports. McFadden says the Trump administration has been brazen about its overt viewpoint discrimination against the Associated Press because they call the Gulf of Mexico and not Gulf of America. He goes, even in a place as restricted as the Oval Office, that type of viewpoint-based exclusion is impermissible. Well, there you have it, folks. We'll keep you posted. All the news and more. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.